I love this hero.
That's
Haven't dropped into
crazy.
this game yet.
Alright, well, we are back into it. Welcome to the Australian Esports League semi-final matchup between Hans Reborn and Team Storm. Hans off to a one-game lead after an 18-minute victory. I am the Spectre. Joining me today is Bloodlock, and we will be bringing you the second game.
Yes, thanks for having me. Finally, we have no disconnects. Um, Servers seem to be working, and Lich actually is going to be the first ban for Hans.
Yeah, Hans seemed to really just kind of ban out Lich, Elder Titan, then some kind of other heroes. It's maybe even the OD early on, but they just they don't really want to go against the Lich because it does screw up lanes, and a lot of the time Hans's game plan is just to win lanes and then win the game with their kind of superior mechanical skill. They are definitely at the top of Australian Dota right now, so if they get that early lead, it makes it a lot easier for them to kind of win the rest of the game. But not to discount Storm at all, they have managed to push Hans to the limit before, but unfortunately, last game was not one of those times.
I'd have to say though, last game MVP definitely has to go to Shaitan. The aggression that came out from him on the Quap was able to win him the lane not only against the puck, but he was able to shut down the Doom as well and just cause havoc in all the other lanes.
Yeah, exactly. It was great rune control from Shaitan. He basically picked up every single one, hastes everywhere, as well as the occasional regen, so he was more than happy. And I mean, he got a 14.5 minute Scythe of Vice. It's hard to compete with something like that, and yet again, Hans will be first picking that Venomancer, a hero that's just insanely strong in the laning stages. He's good for taking towers, even better for defending towers, and just all around one of my favorite support heroes.
I wouldn't be surprised if Hans picked up the Nature's Prophet again here. Obviously, Endless is very good on the Prophet. He's always able to find farm wherever he goes, and there we go. There's the Prophet. So they're definitely looking to go for the strong push lineup again.
Yeah, I think kind of Hans, if the Clockwork's banned out, they go Nature's Prophet. If Nature's Prophet's banned out, go for the Clockwork. If both of them are banned out, Endless might go back to his old default, the Darkseer, but I don't, or I've even seen him play up a Windrunner as well, so he seems to be kind of their first pick all the time, and I think it's just because the off lane has a lot kind of a smaller pool of viable heroes. You kind of have your Timber Saws, Clockworks, Nature's Prophets, Bounty Hunters. Like there are quite a few, don't get me wrong, but the ones that Endless loves to play, definitely Nature's Prophet and Clockwork by a long way.
And we seem to be, especially since 6.79, we seem to be seeing a lot more dual lanes as well. Tri lanes have been around, but they're not as common as a lot of the dual lanes. And even if you're picking up some of these great solo heroes like Darkseer, Elder Titan, even Lone Druid, sometimes they're in dual lanes with heroes like Lich and Venomancer as well, just to add that extra safeguard to prevent obviously getting picked off, but also just to help them set up for their mid game.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think Hans are kind of banning out these stronger solos. The Alchemist, of course, who has given them kind of annoyance in the past, along with the Lone Druid and Bristleback, because it looks like Team Storm want to be quite aggressive. They picked up the Crystal Maiden and the Visage. Visage really says that we want to be aggressive, like really aggressive early on. Crystal Maiden has some of the best damage and kind of support abilities at level 2 out of any hero with the Crystal Nova as well as the Frostbite, so it's a very potent duo. You chuck out those two into a lane with something like a gyrocopter or really any kind of carry, to be honest, and you can get a lot of damage onto a single target and take them down with that soul assumption.
I think Storm seem to really favor having these heroes that not only have disables but have a lot of minus armor as well. And Hans, they've sort of picked up onto this. They banned the Alchemist, but obviously Storm, they're perfectly capable of running the Visage just to get, especially from the soul assumption, you just get the damage out and get those pickoffs to get an early lead.
You certainly can. Storm still kind of waiting on their core heroes. Looks like they still need to pick up the mid farmer and the off lane, and they still have quite a few options. I mean, the Timbersaw hasn't been banned out yet, and it's a hero that everyone seems to be favoring lately. He's just really strong with the pure damage that he can throw out, as well as the reactive armor just being an extremely potent laning spell in the early stages of the game. If you want him to put him in the off lane, you can also level up the Timber Chain over the Whirling Death, or put him in a mid lane situation, you know, up against whatever Hans decides to choose. But I think they might save it for their 4th pick, because right now it might be a bit too risky picking it up this early into the draft.
Yeah, and just on that, I think even if they did pick up Timbersaw 4th pick, if they tried to slot that mid, I think it'd still be a very risky pick, simply because there's not that much that Timbersaw can do to escape in the mid lane. There's not a lot of trees around if they decide to go for a QoP or even an OD.
It can be very dangerous for them. And speaking of risky, Risk's favorite hero, the Nyx Assassin, being picked up. It seems that as far as Risk is concerned, the stun change wasn't a nerf at all. He seems to be hitting them just fine. A devil with the Force Taff stuns as well as the Blink stuns. Risk is no stranger to the Nyx Assassin, so hopefully we can see some great plays from him coming out this game, and it kind of wards Team Storm off picking something like the OD just because the Mana Burn wrecks him, and they do instead go for the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, I think Nyx Assassin is definitely a very good pickup. Obviously, Risk is one of his favorite heroes, and also is great against Crystal Maiden, even though a lot of people like, oh, you know, especially us, like we tend to pick Crystal Maiden after people pick Nyx, just because we're like, screw you, we don't care. But Nyx is really great, just going around with his ulti, looking around for pickoffs on the Visage, preferably the Crystal Maiden, and just being able to cause havoc, just like Shaitan was in the last game with the co-op.
Yeah, exactly. It's just such an annoying hero to play against, really. You can always be out of position, and it forces your supports to spend quite a bit of their income on those reveal items, like the Dust and the Sentries, and later on into the game, a gem. So, you know, it's just, you know, picking up a hero has already done a whole bunch of economic damage, and Hans picking up the Pugna, so they've got a lot of push power. Shaitan really loves playing that Pugna quite a bit, but we have also seen Bulls take it as a farming role, so I'm interested to see how they lane it. At the moment, I'm kind of leaning more towards it being a mid lane Pugna, though.
And also on the side of Storm, we actually see with the Wind Ranger pickup, I hate saying Wind Ranger, it has to be Wind Runner.
Just say Wind Runner.
But with the
I say
Wind
it all
Ranger
the time.
pickup, they actually can do farming Wind Ranger with the Visage and Crystal Maiden support. If they wanted to do that. I have actually seen that tri-lane quite often in the Australian scene, and they're banning up the Lifestealer, so they're assuming that Pugna is not going for the farming role.
Yeah, they certainly are, and I guess Hans, I don't know, they could be doing... It just seems in general that Hans like to keep their mid pick as the last pick, especially when they have the final pick, because it's great for counter picking. Of course, the Dragon Knight, more than likely going to be mid, but could also be that farmer. Windrunner could be the offlaner, or Windrunner could be, you know, a safe farmer, an aggressive farmer, or the mid laner as well. Windrunner is an extremely flexible hero. The last ban out will be the Elder Titan, so Hans definitely looking to fight and think that Elder Titan can stop that. And Team Storm final picking the Lycanthrope. So a little bit of return push. If Hans go all in on one lane, you can have Lycan split pushing along with the Visage Familiars, who do benefit from that howl damage, which was buffed up in the recent patch. So, you know, Lycan, I think, could definitely fit in here well if Storm have a decent early game, but it does make their lanes slightly weaker, in my opinion.
I feel though that Lycan actually could be a very decent pickup if Hans decide to send Endless into the off lane, because they can definitely run a good dual lane with the Lycan and the Visage to set up his mid game and put the Crystal Maiden in the jungle. But then obviously that creates the issue where they can make the decision to put Pugna in an aggressive tri lane or an aggressive dual lane with the Venomancer and really shut down the Lycan, which would mess up Team Storm's day.
It certainly would. I mean, it's something that they could definitely do right now. The Venomancer and Pugna are great picks to have with each other for going for those towers. Unfortunately for Hans, both the Chen and Enchantress banned out, so they can't go for that creep support lineup. And Hans are actually running out of time quite rapidly. Only 15 seconds left on the clock before their bonus starts. So they're taking it late, and we're going to see a Pudge final pick. So this is going to be Balls' hero. I don't know if you're aware, but Balls has played around 700 matchmaking games with Pudge.
That is definitely the most I've ever seen.
And I think he has, overall, I think he's a massive pub star. Like, I'm pretty sure Balls has around a 72% win rate, so he's pretty insane. And Pudge, I must admit that I did tell him to pick it before the game, so I'm glad that he took that on board and pressured Risk into it, because I love watching Pudge play Balls. But let's get into introducing the team. Storm, Dragonite will be played by Akirior, Crystal Maiden being played by Magic Man, Windrunner, Ruby Phoenix will take her mantle, Visage being played by Malaggio, and finally Lycan being played by Emster.
Over on the diary, we've got Risk up on his favorite hero, the Nyx Assassin. We've got Shaitan up on the Pugna, actually, so we could be seeing a mid Pugna. We got Balls on the Pudge, Lippy down there warding up the bot rune on the Venomancer, and obviously Endless on his Nature's Prophet.
Man, Hans's flag is so damn creepy. Especially when it just wafts in the breeze and it looks like it's just staring at you. But we, you know, it's going to be basically as it was predicted. Shaitan could always be just going into that mid lane, or going for kind of more of a farming role on the Pugna in a try. But Venomancer right now is sitting in this mid lane. They might think that Balls needs a bit of support in the mid to begin with, especially if he's going to be going up against the Dragonite. Dragonite is rather tanky. It's hard for Pudge to really dive him effectively. So they might just have Lippy here as sort of a helper in the early game, just to harass him out so Pudge can get some early CS and some basically free farm early on. Double damage rune gets denied at top by the wolf.
Another double damage rune as the first rune. I think, yeah, I definitely have to agree. I think Pudge is definitely going to need some early assistance in this lane. As you said, DK is very tanky. And I feel that we also have the Visage as well in this lane. So it looks like Storm really want their DK to do well. Even though he sort of wins in this matchup, I think they still have to be careful because Hans, I would have to say, have more experience overall.
And I think at 700 games, Balls has probably played every matchup you can imagine with a Pudge. So I'm kind of looking for some exciting plays here. They definitely have heroes that can be punished very harshly with a Pudge. They're all sort of semi-squishy apart from the Dragonite. If Balls can catch out the Lycanthrope before he shifts into wolf form, or if he can get off that Dismember quickly enough, it can hold him down for some decent damage. So I think it's a great bit of punishing pickup on a hero that we don't always see picked up in the meta. You know, really the only people that play him in a competitive scene is Dendy, so I guess it's something that teams aren't very comfortable playing against, and it really does change the entire play style of a game because you have to always be so wary of where that Pudge can be.
Yeah, I think with this matchup down at bottom with Prophet, I think he's doing very well. Obviously using his treants to block some of the camps. Crystal Maiden doing what she can to stack and just jungle up some farm. But I think they're really going to have to start rotating in to attempt to kill this Prophet. Otherwise he's just going to either back off the jungle and get some farm there, or he's just going to be getting last hits in lane. And they really don't want that to happen.
Yeah, usually Endless will pick up kind of level 3 or 4 and then just rotate into the jungle and secure himself a Hand of Midas, then go round killing everything, grab that Shadow Blade into a Necro Book, and he does have a buttload of experience coming his way, and it's something that the Radiant can't do anything about. He's just too experienced with those treants, blocking up the camps very, very well, and unfortunately doesn't keep it outside of tower range, but, you know, he's basically level 4 from this creep wave, so some nice play from Endless here.
And that's the issue as well. This creep wave that pushed up all the way past the tier 1 up to in between the towers, which is just giving Endless all of the experience, and Lycan is having to sit back and wait for his creep wave to come and meet them back up in front of the tier 1.
Meanwhile, in mid lane, Balls gets stunned out, and rotation in from Magic Man as well as Malajo. Looks like Balls is going to be Alfredo picking up that kill, and just, I guess, the call not coming out soon enough in the bottom lane, and just a bit of a warding issue, I guess, because they have this ward placed near the mid lane instead of kind of the general spot here or here. They didn't have the avenue of vision through here to see the rotations in, so just a little bit unfortunate. No smoke required even for that gank, so a nice little game there from Storm.
And that's another thing to note as well. Both teams have this ward up in both their off lanes to check where the other heroes are. We actually see them go on to Endless down at bottom, but weren't able to pick up the kill. But yeah, they both have these aggressive off-lane wards just to check where the heroes are in their lane, which means they have to place these rune wards very carefully. And obviously it wasn't so great for Pudge because they weren't able to spot out the rotation. But it limits the vision for their mid laners, meaning ganks are a lot easier.
It certainly does. In fact, now Risk coming in, but Akirio picks up on it too quickly. Ball's going for the hook, manages to hit it. The stun comes through as well. Akirio in a bit of trouble. The right click from Risk, picking it up, and you could see Balls predicting the movement perfectly. And they pick up a nice kill on mid lane.
Yeah, I think the response from Magic Man was a little bit too slow there as well. Another a hook coming out from Balls there, just trying to scare the Crystal Maiden, I think. But yeah, the rotation, I think, from the Crystal Maiden needed to be a little bit faster there. Otherwise, there was no real way of turning that around.
An Invis rune now picked up by Pudge. He should have been spotted out there. They do have a sentry ward and vision with a normal ward, so no pings coming out though, so maybe they didn't spot it. The hook coming out on Akirio, the instant stun from him, but the instant stun from Risk as well. Ball's just chasing him down, needs one more shot. Does manage to grab it, so that's 2 kills going their way. 1 kill and 1 assist for Balls on that Pudge. And having Risk here has really paid off. It's led to 2 kills.
Yeah, I think that's something to note as well that you said just there. They do have the sentry ward there, and obviously the vision of the observer ward goes all the way to this sort of area, meaning they did have vision of him with that invis rune, but I don't think they actually noticed, which is something that they really need to be careful of. If Pudge picks up an invis, or if he picks up a haste, you really need to be watching with your wards and making sure your wards are in the right position so you can spot where he's going to make sure that these kills aren't happening.
Yeah, and right now Balls is sitting on that level 6, so does have the Dismember. Looks like he might go for another hook on Akirio, who needs to be careful that he doesn't fall for a 3rd time in as many minutes in this mid lane. The creep's about to go down, and Balls, like most good Pudge players, will wait right until a creep is about to die, and then hook. So the hook comes right through where the creep was. So it's something that I've seen him do time and time again while playing on that Pudge, and Risk has gone back to the top lane because they're putting a lot of damage onto this top tower. The wards are just hitting it down as well as the Pugna Nether Blast. Now Risk coming forward. Ruby Phoenix gets decrepified, but they're not able to get in ranged quickly enough. The Glyph forced out as well, but this tower is going down regardless. Shaitan more than likely going to take the last shot with the blast, which he does. And I think at the moment they have the presence right now just to push onto that tier 2 and put quite a bit of damage on it.
And this is the issue as well. Like, if you notice, Risk actually came all the way this way and up behind their tier 2. And they actually did just have vision of it with this rune ward here, but the issue is they're not really looking a lot at the map, I think. They didn't notice the Pudge, and now they also didn't notice Risk, so they're not able to make the rotations to pick off the out-of-position players.
Yeah, I think with the rotation in from the Visage, maybe the Crystal Maiden as well, they could have picked him off in this kind of area here, and there wouldn't have been much that he could do. He is, of course, only level 5, so can't use that Vendetta defensively. Only a level 1 Spike Carapace as well, so it's not the best way to run. We're going to have pings out on the Pudge, who is in this bottom lane. He's looking for a way to hook Emster, but he's just hiding in creeps. Now he's not, but he's going for the tower last hit. Lycan grabs the tower. Endless Winter coming in, maybe looking for a hook. He scared him off to the side. The Wolf is half blocking it, but Balls goes for the hook, narrowly misses, and Emster instantly runs away. Malajo also using that Grave Chill on a creep to run away even faster.
He doesn't want that train picking up any kills.
And the pickup of the medallion on the Lycan as well means that they can think about rotating into the Roshan pretty quickly, as he does also have the Vlads online as well. The level 4 Wolves picked up means that he can get a little bit of tank, but having only level 1 Howl may be a bit of a problem just without that extra damage, because those Wolves, after that nerf quite a while ago, just really aren't up to scratch with tanking Roshan. You have to do quite a bit with your hero, and it's more the DPS that they lend than the tank nowadays, so we should be looking at higher levels up in the Howl for the Lycan before he goes for it, or even possibly just more points into the Feral Spirit, Feral Impulse rather.
I think another issue with taking the Roche, obviously Magic Man has just put a Rune Ward up there as well as the Roche Ward, but they don't actually know if Hans have vision in this area, which is something they really need to look for if they're going for the Roche, because they do have Pudge on the side of Hans, and if they don't de-ward this area, then Pudge can easily just...
Oh, Pudge gets a hook on mid line. Akirior instantly dismembered and goes down to the Venomancer. A Gale coming... Sorry, not a Gale. The Nova coming out, though. Lycan getting very aggressive. We could see a nice body block up from Risk, though. He goes on to Lippy instead. Firestarter now has the stun, but it misses on Emster. Lippy throws out the Gale, but he does get the kill. A hook back, though. Emster in a lot of trouble. The Gale has hit him, so he will be slowed as soon as the ult form runs out. He comes back. The Nature's Prophet ultimate hits him, and the Vendetta from Nyx takes the kill. Risk grabbing that one there, but it does come at the cost of the Venomancer, but still a trade that Hans will be happy about.
That was also brilliant blocking by Risk. That could have been a really bad turnaround from Storm, because Pudge did have the medallion on him, so he did have the -6 armor, and he was about to die.
Oh, the hook in mid lane. Visage goes down. Long range hook there.
But yeah, I think it was definitely very good blocking by Risk, saving the Pudge and also allowing them to pick up the kill on the Lycan.
Really was an excellent play. We do see the Invis Wolves just chasing balls down. They know exactly where it's going, and that's kind of a good way that Lycan is, you know, a semi-counter pick to that Pudge, as you can always just set the Wolves onto him, kind of had a move command on him just to follow him around everywhere, and it stops him being too aggressive, but he is now on the high ground thinking about throwing out a hook. It gets cancelled off. We do see pings onto the high ground. He might think of going for Emster. Malajo, in fact, Ball's getting shackled to a tree here. In comes Akirior. The Nether Ward doing its work here. Balls is dropping low though. The Wolves are trying to go on him, and now Emster throwing out the ulti form. Lippy does hit him with a Gale. Endless Winter trying to TP out. A nice stun from Risk, just not enough. He gets taken down by the Dragon Knight before he can TP out safely, and that's a nice pickup of a kill for Storm.
That was a good defense by them as well. They were able to push Hans back to the point where they didn't really want to push the tower, and because they were backing off, they were able to get a pick off on the Prophet. And this is sort of the time where they really need to push up, at least take a tier 1 at the mid, so then they can safely go and take the Roche, because Hans, once they start picking up a little bit more farm, they're going to be getting to the point where they're pushing the tier 2s and pushing the tier 1 at bot especially, and just denying Storm the opportunity to get the Roche, which means Lycan is really going to be an easy target for them in team fights.
Yeah, it's already been proven that Lycan hasn't been doing too much in these team fights. I mean, he's been using Medallion on the right units, and we're actually going to see a smoke up now. Maybe they think of going into the Roshan pit with the heroes that they have. It doesn't look like they're going for a pick-off, but Magic Man and Malajo going to lane, Emster just sitting here as well, and I think it would have been a decent opportunity to think about it. Lippy is kind of hanging in this middle lane, can always drop down a ward whenever he goes past that Roshan pit. And I think that around this, you know, this minute mark, it's something that they should be doing.
I think as well, Wind Ranger was actually drawing on the map in this area. I think they were actually looking for a kill sort of in this lane here, but because they don't have vision in this general area here, they didn't actually know that the Prophet and Pudge were top.
Yeah, we do see a ping coming out onto Risk, so they know that he's in the general area. Shaitan and Lippy down in this bottom lane, so it looks like they want to do quite a bit of damage to this tier 1 tower. Shaitan does have the mechanism and has started building into what I would assume would be a Necro Book. Could always be a Force Staff early on, but he can take it one of two directions, so Usually we see Shaitan coming up with a Necro book on the Pugna, so I would be inclined to believe it's that. And it looks like Storm know that that tower is doomed and are going for a trade, but the push is coming a little bit too slow, and I think that Hans can just TP back and defend this. We already see one TP coming back from Lippy, and Balls has a haste rune. He's looking for a kill here. Magic Man might be caught out. He might throw the hook. He's thinking about it so much. He throws it out finally, just misses on Magic Man. He guessed the line perfectly, but just the hook falling a tiny bit too short.
Yeah, and it was great defense from Hans. They have really strong push from the Venomancer wards as well as Pugna's Nether Blast. So the tier 1, because it wasn't defended, they were able to take that by themselves. So the early TPs back from the Prophet as well as the rest of Hans deterred Storm from really taking that tier 1.
We are going to see Lippy actually start setting up for the Roshan with the wards. It is spotted out by the Visage Familiars as well as the Lycan Wolves. It's something that Hans like to do early on, is to try and take down this Roshan. So we definitely have it being spotted out already. Endless Winter thinking of TPing in here as well. They've got the Trance if they want to take it down even quicker. The Medallion also picked up on Lippy, so Roshan has already started going down. He's at about 3/4 health already. And it looks like even though Storm has the Medallion, has the Vlads up on this Lycan as well as Foreign Wolves in Hell, that Hans are going to be the ones to take down this Roshan.
And this was definitely mentioned before. Like, this is the point where Storm really should have taken Rosh already. And because they haven't really forced a lot on this mid lane, and they sort of let Hans just take this tier 1 at bot, it opens up all of this space for Hans just to roam freely.
It definitely does. I mean, it could be partly to do with the fact that they have a Pudge on the team. Could also be the Venomancer can check so easily with those wards, but being able to get Nature's Prophet just TPing into that pit without seeing him actually rotate in is a massive advantage. They may think, oh, it's just the Venomancer, it's going to take him a while, but Risk actually dropping really low on the top, doesn't have Spike Carapace anymore. A nice stun though, catches Emster in tower range. Will he continue diving for it? He won't, because he knows that ulti form won't last long enough, and he will drop out of it just now. But Risk does get away, but it looks like they are going to pressure that top tower. 4-staff purchased up on Endless as well as Phase Boots, and the Necro level 1 purchased up by Shaitan. It looks like they're going to be trying to trade that tier 1 tower at top for the tier 1 at bottom, and it's definitely a trade that Hans will be happy with.
Yeah, I think this is something that Storm really needs to start doing more. Even though they didn't pick up the kill on Risk, they really need to start applying pressure into these lanes, because Hans Reborn, they're just going to keep pushing. They've got the Necrobook now up on Pugna, and they've now got a 4-staff up on Nature's Prophet, which could eventually...
Oh, Balls throwing out the blink! Goes for a hook, but no one standing by the tower, narrowly misses out on a wolf. And Hans now just pushing this high ground. Emster getting dropped low from the Nature's Prophet ulti, and Shaitan just coming through and blasting everything. Balls takes down those wolves, and this tower's already done at half health. A nice hook comes out. They catch Ruby Phoenix, who gets 4-staff even further into the team. In fact, I think he may have accidentally forced himself in further. He did. So that's already one pick-off on Ruby Phoenix, and Hans, with all of these wards on the high ground, looking set to take basically take a Rax at 16 minutes in. A hook comes out. He catches out Akirio. The stun comes out, but the stun from Risk as well as the Gale. That's picking up 2 kills already, and this Pudge pickup is doing such wonders for Hans, breaking this base. Balls blinks forward. He's looking for something here. He does have the hook. Risk almost blocks it, but he catches Magic Man. Risk now dominating, and it looks like Hans are just going to take down this Rax with no problems at all, thanks to Balls and his excellent hooks, catching out 3 heroes with 3 consecutive hooks.
Yeah, this is sort of what we were talking about earlier. Like, you let Hans get a lead, and they will crush you. And because of the Pudge, it really deters. It really gets Storm into this mindset that if they push, they have to really be careful and watch out for those hooks. And because Balls is such a good Pudge, you know, those hooks are definitely going to hit. He's only really missed, I think, 3 hooks so far that I've seen.
And in each case, they've either been very close hooks, or they've just kind of been the fishing, testing the waters hooks. If it's good if, you know, you need it, but it's not vital. He's hit every single one he's needed to, and now Pugna has a Necrobook 3, so That's basically like having a sixth hero at this stage of the game, or really any stage of the game with the damage output that they can throw out. As well as having the mobile true sight, which is going to be really useful going against those Lycan wolves that have, really kind of helped Storm scout out the positioning of balls before these fights. But they do smoke up.
From Storm. Yeah, sorry, Diva.
Yeah, that's right. It looks like they're gonna. I thought they might go to the top for Endless, but they're wrapping around in mid. Shaitan could get caught out here. In fact, he's walking even closer. Akirio gets revealed here. The Pugna Ward goes down instantly. Ward is still alive. The Aegis gets popped. Risk trying to get away. We see Balls already on a dominating streak. A double kill is picked up. Malajo dropping really low. Balls coming through. It's a double kill for him and Shaitan. Risk has the blink, and the good game gets called after a smoke gank that turns into a team wipe. That's understandable. And we have a victory for Hans Reborn. 2 18-minute games going in their favor, and they will go up against Young Money Club in our finals, where Storm will verse MI6 in a third place decider. So very well played by Hans in that game, and it's a pleasure to watch Balls playing on that pudge.
Yeah, I think it would have been, they sort of reached a point where there was no coming back for Storm. I'm not sure if you saw, but Prophet had actually picked up the staff and the belt of strength, which meant he was also going for a necro book. So the push coming out from Hans was incredibly strong, and I don't think there was anything Storm could have really done to stop it.